A methodology is a set of ideas or guidelines used to teach a specific subject. When we think about educating kids and players, we have to consider how to create the best possible environment for learning and development. And in futsal, it's not different. There are many ways futsal can be taught and shared, and each will bring a different outcome depending on how and when it is applied. But after all, which methodology provides the best learning environment? Among all the different methodologies, it is possible to identify some training techniques widely used by coaches. Next, we'll get to know 4 of these training methodologies that can be used and implemented in futsal programs. What's up everyone, Coach Thiago here. Welcome to the Futsal Training Academy. In this channel, you'll learn everything and anything about futsal. We're a channel dedicated to provide valuable information and content to you about futsal, this amazing sport that we all love. Before we continue, don't forget to give us a like below, to subscribe to our channel, and to hit the notification bell to be notified when we upload new content here. The analytical methodology, first appeared in individual sports, with its main characteristic as learning and teaching isolated skills of the specific sport so that they can be transferred to real game situations. In this method, the process consists of teaching futsal in parts through the learning of isolated technical abilities like passing, shooting, dribbling, ball control, etc., to then add them all together in the actual game. This method is very common in most clubs around the world, with simple exercises in which players just have to follow lines and repeat the same movement and action over and over, as you can see in the example. As in any other methodology, there are advantages and disadvantages to this method. On the positive side, this methodology teaches the correct fundamentals of all technical elements of futsal, giving the ability for the coach to correct and fix any mistakes as it happens, and also providing the ability to follow all players' development and respect their own speed of learning. On the other side, this method does not provide immediately the pleasure of playing the actual games. As a result, it does not motivate players to come to practice as much, especially when working with young and undeveloped ages or players. It also doesn't create a favorable environment for creativity, and for teaching only specific skills, it won't give players situations in which they will encounter when playing the actual game. The consequence of a teaching method based on an analytical methodology is the fact that players won't comprehend as much of the real game, as they are only being exposed to specific skills predetermined by a coach. The problem is more visible when they are playing games, when we can actually see their lack of understanding of the game, as they have only been doing exercises with lines and cones without actual situations like opponents, limited timing to make a decision, reduced spaces, rules, and other situations that only the actual game can teach. Despite all these disadvantages, it is still quite common for coaches to use this teaching of futsal based on the technique. However, it is up to the same coach to use this methodology and its advantages in the right moment, not completely taking away the joy of the game. The global methodology is known for its main characteristics, the learning by playing. That is, by developing and providing the learning of the game through the actual game. In this method, the process consists of teaching players the game of futsal through the game with additional rules and or restrictions. It's common to see this method in clubs where either coaches don't have a lot of knowledge teaching futsal, creating or explaining necessary concepts and exercises, or where parents or the players are only interested in short-term development and the joy of the game, without any future or concrete expectation for the player. In reference to the advantages of this methodology, the player is immediately exposed to the game, with both technical and tactical aspects being developed. And this methodology also increases the joy for the game, thus the desire to attend practice. On the other side, because players are not working on specific skills, it takes a little longer to clearly see technical development. which can discourage a few players and parents to continue training. Moreover, it doesn't provide an effective evaluation of a player's development, preventing the correction or growth of their specific needs. This method is generally preferred by players who have good technical, tactical skills because they are always playing and being the goal scorer or dribbling people. It is important to take into consideration that as much as players learn tactical skills and decision making, these aspects are random. Coaches will not have considerable interventions in the development process of a player. The third, the Ludic Methodology, is essentially a teaching methodology characterized by teaching the game through joyful little games. In this method, players are developed and or introduced to futsal through common childhood games that are fun and entertaining, like, for example, Sharks and Minnows, which might be called something else where you are from, and is basically a tag game where players have to run and dribble the ball from point A to point B without being tagged. This methodology is very common at young ages as players are more interested in having fun than actually learning the sport. However, this method can also be used with older age groups, depending on the type of activities that a coach can implement, and can also be implemented as warm-up activities for competitive teams. In clubs or programs where turnovers in customers are high and there is not much of a long-term plan associated with the class, this can be a very powerful methodology to retain customers and provide the necessary joy they expect. On the other side, if your program has a long-term development plan with players moving from age groups to age group, it won't be as effective as it will not provide the essential skills to play the sport, and parents won't see long-term value in the program. The fourth and last, the situational methodology, also called situational cognitive, is characterized by the practice of semi-structured game situations involving individual and collective development. This method consists of extracting game situations and applying them in training, so there is an actual reality during sessions. Types of activities that are commonly applied in this methodology can include, for example, 1v1s, 2v1s, 2v2s, and so on. These activities will force players to not only work on their technical skills, but also force them to develop their cognitive and motor skills, which are fundamental in the development of intelligent players. This is, for example, an activity we implement in our coaching sessions that is based on a situational methodology. We have a momentaneous 2v1 situation that will turn into a 2v2 situation, which is constantly present in the actual game and also represents what players will have to encounter while playing the game. This training methodology has been gaining a lot of popularity and attention as it provides players with essential concepts and skills that can be used in the long term while providing the necessary joyful moment that players and parents expect when coming to training sessions. Furthermore, this methodology gives coaches the ability to correct individual and collective mistakes as they present themselves, and gives the ability for parents and coaches to effectively measure a player's development. The negative side of the situational methodology is that if you are working with very young and or undeveloped players, it will be hard for them to keep up with certain activities as they still don't know or don't have the basic futsal skills. And if players are only attending your program to learn and develop in the sport, they might not be getting all the necessary specific training they should, which can cause them to leave somewhere else trying to fix or to improve any specific skills. Nonetheless, all of these years coaching from initiation to competitive futsal, I believe this situational methodology, in most part, is going to be the most effective training methodology a program can offer. However, this is not guaranteed to work on your program. You have to evaluate your market and objectives to then decide what's best for your own program to flourish and grow. Remember that it's not a set rule that needs to be followed. Just like there are many other methodologies used around, you can create your own methodology, mixing and matching any or all to provide you and your players with the best possible environment. That is all for this. I hope you have learned a bit more about the different methodologies used around the world and got an insight into how you could use them into your own benefit and favor. Don't forget to give us a like below, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to be notified when we upload new and more valuable content to you. We'll catch you later.